recording. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to our When Shit Hits the Fan webinar. I'm so excited for this. Thank you for joining us. I know everybody maybe is super busy, so taking time out of your day, out of your busy day for moving from the living room to your kitchen we really appreciate it. So we're going to get started, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Anna, who is going to open the call for us, set our intentions, and basically just help us all drop in. So Anna, take it away.
All right. Okay, everybody. So get into a comfortable position, whether you're sitting or laying down in your bed. Just make sure that your body's comfortable. We're just going to take a few minutes to take a few deep breaths and get grounded in our body. You can close your eyes. And just start breathing deeply in through your nose, out through your nose. And just dropping your energy low to the ground. I want you to ask for a grounding symbol to be shown to you. It can be the first thing that comes to your mind. If you're low on ideas, it can be a tree trunk, a branch, a root, flower, rock, crystal, whatever feels good to you. And take that grounding symbol to the base of your spine and just let it drop into the earth like an anchor. And as you continue to take deep inhales and exhales, you ground deeper and deeper into the earth. And as your grounding symbol continues to drop down further into the earth, let it widen. And eventually, as you get to the bottom of the earth, there's going to be a special anchor point that's just for you. It might have your name on it, or you just get a sense that it's for you. But lock into that point. And once you're locked in, charge up your grounding cord. All the way up until you start to feel some of that warm, slow pulse of earth energy entering through your feet, into your legs. Imagine your legs are as big and wide as tree trunks, just inviting this grounding earth energy into your body and letting it flow like a warm honey nectar up your legs and swooshing through your pelvis into your pelvic bowl. And then let it drop back down through that grounding cord. So you're creating a circuit of grounding energy coming up through your legs, into your pelvis, and then back down into the earth. Then I want you to imagine a sacred healing circle around yourself. And I want you to invite in your guides, angels, or any energies that will be helpful for your healing today. And then quietly in your mind, set an intention for yourself for what you would like to receive from this session, webinar today. And collectively, let's invite the intention of information, new information, coming to us in a pace that is comfortable for our nervous system. And then take another few deep breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Amazing.
How are you feeling?
Well, I feel great.
Good.
Much better.
I love that. Thank you so much. I hope everybody is feeling just as amazing as I am right now. I will say that, like, at the very beginning, you know, we're hopping on a webinar, we're running this thing, so I'm like, you know, a little anxious, and now I feel like completely settled and calm. So thank you for that. That was perfect. I'm going to turn it over to Bree so that she can share what we're covering today.
Yeah, so today, you know, we really wanted to come together as mamas, as friends, as spiritualist humans, because one, we realized that, you know, as we all are kind of adjusting to this new normal life experience, that connecting virtually is more important than ever. Like, all of us have been literally Zooming or FaceTiming every single day in an attempt to just connect through our hearts. And we've also been, you know, just kind of finding that we're talking about what's been working for us, right? As mothers, as women, as small business owners, entrepreneurs, right? All the different ways. And collectively, we realized that we had some really great tools that have been, you know, not making everything normal by any means, but have been really helping to kind of anchor us in, like Anna just led us through, kind of these tools and these practices that have helped us to come back to who we truly are, ground in, come back to our hearts, and help to the energy to feel a little bit less chaotic, a little bit less stressful. And so that was really where this came from. Just, you know, a desire to share that with our people, with you guys, our family, and hopes that, you know, some of these land for you and perhaps make your day, your next week, a little bit more you, a little bit more grounded. So over the next 35 minutes or so, we're each just going to be kind of sharing, you know, our experience, what's been coming up for us, and kind of the most swirly of ways. And then, you know, a few different tools and practices that, like I mentioned, have just been bringing us back to our center, to that place of love instead of fear that is swirling around right now. And we're keeping the chat open, so if anyone has questions or, you know, wants further clarification or wants us to talk about something else, like, this is for you. This is a very casual conversation for all of us here today. And we're thankful that you're here.
Perfect. So I'm going to start us off. I am Taryn Dickey, for those of you who don't know me. For the last 6.5 years, I run a successful health and fitness coaching business where I help busy women figure out what a healthy looks and feels like to them. I'm also a mindset mentor for women who dream big, and I help them shift their mindset basically to step into their greatness. I'm a former school counselor with a master's in education, so from me, you're going to see me put my counselor hat on and share with you a tool that I think is going to be super helpful. But I wanted to share first basically how this has been impacting me. And we're all going to kind of share that because I think it's important to normalize a lot of the feelings that we're feeling and a lot of things that are coming up. So to give you some background, right before all of this really started happening, we lost my father-in-law. He passed away at the end of January. And so for me, we were already deep in the grieving process. And when this kind of came onto the scene few weeks later, it really disrupted me in a way that I was totally not prepared for. Not that anybody was prepared for this, and I know everybody has their own challenges that they were facing in addition to what we're facing right now, but it derailed me in a way that I just wasn't ready for. You know, I felt like I was processing the grief of losing a loved one, but even still, I found it to be a challenge. So for me, I've been alcohol-free for a little over 1.5 years. And so what I've needed to do and what I've relied on to help me to not turn to alcohol during this time is I turned to food, primarily sugar. It's not the best thing for me because it doesn't make me feel good. But to give you a picture of what happened, my husband, Chris, ran to like a wholesale store like BJ's. I don't know if that's elsewhere in the country, but we have a BJ's wholesale, and he bought one of those huge, like I'm talking huge bags of like mini Twixes, mini Milky Ways, mini Snickers, mini everything. And it was for the kids, let's be honest. It was for the children, not for me. Although he did say, and also during your period, that would be a good, I'm like, oh, perfect. But the past few days, I ate like half the bag and it was all gone, and I made him throw it away because if it's not there, I won't eat it. But I recognized that like I was turning to that. So I just wanted to kind of normalize like that turning to food during a time like this is not bizarre. It's not abnormal. Like it's totally a thing. And for me, I just had to find other ways to get those cravings and choosing healthier ways to do that and really focusing on what I'm putting into my body so I feel good. But I just wanted to kind of share how that impact. I ate like half of the bag. I've also had to turn to my anxiety meds, which I haven't used in like a very long time. Also normal, also okay. Okay, so my brief teaching topic that I'm going to cover with you is this idea of, yeah, has anybody else been doing this? The idea of what brings all of the stress in our life. And it's quite simple, and I know you're like, what do you mean it's simple? But I just want to paint this picture for you. Several years ago, I had my daughter in 2015, and I was suffering from postpartum depression and anxiety. And I was a mess, like an absolute mess. When you read about like postpartum depression, like there would be probably a picture of Taryn among many of us, right? Like it would just be there. But I was really struggling, and I met with a therapist, and she's actually somebody who works with women in their reproductive years. So she's incredible. And she was asking me, well, what's the biggest problem you're facing right now? And I'm like, well, I have a little one, a brand new newborn practically, and I'm trying to run a business. And I'm trying to get my work in, but she doesn't want to be put down. I have to hold her all the time. Chris can't even hold her. She screams and cries. Like, it's horrible. Like, what am I going to do? And she said, well, what do you want? Like, what's the expectation you have for your business? And so I said, well, I need like 3 hours a day, 2 hours of uninterrupted business time. Like, I need that. And she was like, okay, and what's your reality? What are you actually getting? And I'm like, well, probably 30 minutes of broken work throughout the day. And she's like, the reason that you're so stressed, the reason that you're so frustrated, angry, feeling resentment, feeling like a dissonance is because there's such a huge gap between your expectation and your reality. That is literally where so much of our struggle, confusion, tension, anxiety, conflict, everything is because our expectations are not matching our reality. And the bigger the gap, the more stressed we are. And then the smaller the gap is, the less stress. So I want to help you kind of take a look at your life, take a look at different areas, and help you like zone in on one thing that you can focus on for these next, however long we're here, at home and doing this whole thing, that you can focus on to help reduce that size of the gap, to bring about a little less stress in your life, especially now. So what I want you to do, if you have a piece of paper, awesome. If you don't, no problem. Pull up your phone, pull up the notes app. It's totally cool. This isn't like, you know, I'm an educator, but I'm not being like, get your papers out and your pens and pencils. So what I want you to do is I want you to quickly jot down, and I can drop these in the chat too, just to make it easy for you. But I want you to quickly jot down the 7 major areas of our life. And I'll just put them in the chat so you can have them. So we've got our personal well-being, which is like mental health, your emotions, your feelings. You have spiritual, professional and career, fitness and nutrition, family and parenting, connection and community, and financial. And what I want you to do is very quickly, do not think about it. Do not place any judgment on it. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. And I want you to rate your level of satisfaction, where 1 is extremely dissatisfied and 10 is extremely satisfied. Right now, how you're feeling about each of those areas. So I'll give you 30 seconds, just rate them really quickly. Don't think, use your intuition, listen to that voice inside of you. You know how you feel about those 7 areas. Yep, it's so personal well-being, spiritual is the second one. The third one is professional/career. The 4th is fitness plus nutrition. The 5th is family and parenting. The 6th is connection and community. And the 7th is financial. So think about yourself right now and how you would rate them. So now that you have that, right, now that we've rated those, I want you to think about the one area that you would like to focus on during this challenging time where you feel you have the most control. And when I say the most control, you might be in a situation where you're really concerned about your financials right now. Perhaps somebody is out of a job at the moment. The amount of control you might have on that right now in the here and now isn't as great as perhaps say like fitness and nutrition, where you might actually have a little bit more control. So just kind of be mindful of that. So I'd love to hear, if you're comfortable, you don't have to, but just drop in the comments which area you're planning to focus on for the time being. I'm like, I don't want to put
just one, Taryn? Should we pick just one?
Just one. Normally when I do this exercise, I like people to choose the top 3 that they'd like to focus on over the next year. But I think right now it's best to just really kind of focus on that one.
This is like really showing, at least for me, how much of a perfectionist I am, because I literally am like, I have to choose, I have to pick all of them, and I have to work on all of them.
I know.
I can't choose just one. Like, that's literally what's coming up for me.
I know. Yeah. And that we all, not all of us, but a lot of people, I mean, I'm the same way. Absolutely.
Is anyone else having a hard time choosing just one and not all of them?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need all that.
Just one.
Damn it.
So what we're going to do is we're now going to, again, if you have a piece of paper, awesome. If you don't, use the Notes app. It doesn't matter. And if you do have a piece of paper, just fold it in half. And what you're going to do is on the left-hand side, using that one area, right? So for example, Jane is going to be focusing on personal well-being. So personal well-being, just write it up at the top. On the left-hand side is going to be the expectation you currently have for that area. And then on the right side, you're going to write your current reality, okay? And this, like, it doesn't have to be a big old thing. You know, you don't have to write a bunch of paragraphs here. And if you don't have enough time to do it now, it's totally fine. You can do this after the fact. But the left-hand side will be your expectations, and the right-hand side will be your current reality. And your homework with this, Brittany, I'm not shocked that you want to choose all of them. So your homework with this is to brainstorm ways to close the gap, okay? If you need a fresh set of eyes, work with a partner, a trusted friend via Zoom chat or FaceTime, right? Or an expert in the area that you're working on. So maybe a coach who can help you with that process. And I just kind of want to share why a fresh set of eyes is helpful, because I forget how many months ago this was, Renee, if you remember this, but we were talking about morning and, you know, starting off your day and doing all of the things that you need to do to get centered so that you can be present and fully involved in your life. And for Renee, her sleeping with her kids was basically preventing her from doing that first thing in the morning. And so all I said to her was like, why not wait until you drop the kids off at school and then come back home and do your miracle morning at like 9 a.m. And she was like, oh my gosh, there it is. I'll do that instead. And so sometimes when you're close to the problem, you're unable to kind of see like a simple shift that can kind of change it all for you. So that's why I'm suggesting if you need a fresh set of eyes. So yeah, that's it for me, I believe. I think I got it all. So obviously if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and I can respond, but we are going to move on to our next panelist. Bree is going to share some grounding tools to help with fear and trauma, with the uncertainty of all that we are facing right now.
Thanks, T. That was super helpful. Like, love that exercise. Gonna narrow it down to just one. So for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Bree McCorkle. I'm a work from home mama of 3, spiritual teacher, and coach for women and mamas, helping them to uncover their real, true, authentic selves and what lights them up instead of who the world told them to be. And I love my work. I love being here. I love these women. As Taryn mentioned, I'm a former educator as well, a former school psychologist and counselor. And I'm certified in some fun things like Reiki 2 and Ho'oponopono. And I just love all things spiritual and woo and like energetic. So I'm psyched to be here sharing some of these things with you guys that have been working for me. So really what this whole experience has been bringing up for me the last 2 weeks, if I had to pinpoint it, would be, I feel like for any of you, I don't know if there's any moms on the call or listening to the recording, but it's bringing me back to like those postpartum days, right? The 4th trimester. It's bringing back a lot of that trauma where I feel like I had no time for myself, that I actually didn't have a self, that it was kind of just dissolved into taking care of my children, keeping them safe, keeping them alive, having no time. And it's been really tricky for me because my kids are 6, 2, and 10 months. And so I feel like the first, 6 months of my baby's life, my youngest baby was like spent in this 4th trimester, this postpartum trauma, right? And I worked so hard to get out of that, like deciding that I'm worth it and investing in my business, which is a work from home business, right? Which sometimes we tell ourselves isn't as valid or isn't as important, or we self-sabotage, and getting childcare and finding money in the budget to have this childcare. And I worked my little buns off, like emotionally, spiritually, and physically, to put myself in this position where I have support and I'm doing my work in the world and I'm connecting with all of you. And now I feel like this COVID has plopped me right back into the first 6 months of postpartum all over again. But what we're hoping to share with you today and what we're finding is that like these lessons, right? Like this time really is for us to collectively rise and to shift. And so it's bringing up all these wounds and all this old stuff to the surface to be like, here it is again. Like, are you ready to look at it? Are you ready to heal it? Like, we're going to give you another go around. So that is really kind of where I've been as a mama. And I don't know if any of you feel that, but let me know if you're on the same page. Sometimes I feel very alone. So anyway, what I wanted to share with you today were just a few tools that I've been using to kind of ground myself during this time, as well as tools that I've been using for my kiddos, because I'm guessing that almost all of you that are on the call today are intuitive, are empathic, are sensitive, right? Like we are each other's people. So we often are very alike. And when you are sensitive, when you're an empath, when you feel things in a big way, when you're picking up on what's going on in the collective, which right now is a ton of fear, right? A ton of fear and a ton of anxiety. You can feel it. So aren't your children, right? And oftentimes these kids who are very sensitive or very empathic, sometimes they're told that they're not right, or they have special needs, or like they're really triggered and they're showing, all these behaviors. And it's not that there's something wrong with them. It's that they actually have a really special gift, as we do. And they're often referred to as star seeds. And if any of you want to Google that, my child is a star seed. There's all different kinds. There's rainbow, there's indigo, there's diamond, there's all these things. It's fascinating. But I guarantee if you have a child, they're probably a star seed because you're here. So really coming back to ourselves, grounding ourselves when there is so much fear going on in the collective, right? We're experiencing what they're calling a pandemic, right? And so sometimes when you think of times when you're experiencing anxiety, for those of you who are and experiencing fear, it might not even be yours, right? Sometimes I just sit and kind of ask myself, okay, like, what am I feeling right now? And is it even mine? Or what portion of it is mine, right? Because energy is everything and we absorb it all. And it's just, there's a lot of it going on right now. Okay. So, yep. Then you're an empath. Absolutely. Yeah. It's totally normal. We're all picking up on this fear. And it's really kind of our choice as to whether or not we want to hold it and keep it and make it ours, or whether we want to come back into who we truly are, into our truth. So, we put together a PDF for all of you, which Taryn's going to talk about later. So you can actually have a physical copy of all of these things that we're talking about. But the ones that I really wanted to talk about with you today were, I'll start off with some tools for our littles. So you don't feel like you have to write these down because we have them all written for you. But one of the things that's been really helping with my kids, who I mentioned are all different ages, is giving them choices, right? Like their routine, if those of them that have been in school, daycare, whatever, no matter where, their whole kind of world is flipped upside down right now. This can be perceived as almost like a trauma for us, right? All of this change. And when we have all this change, it really kind of signals this loss of control, right? For all of us. And so giving our kids choices that are responsible and smart and logical really can help our kids feel safe, right? And makes them feel like they have a little bit of control. So the things that have been really working for my kiddos is, okay, these are our 2 outfit choices for the day. Which one would you like? Okay, these are the 2 activities that we can do today for, craft time or art time or whatever. Which would you like? Okay, here's the 2 options for breakfast, right? What would you like? Things like that are very simple, that there's really not a bad choice, that both are okay with you, but it just kind of gives them that sense of having control. The second tool for kiddos that's been really helpful is doing something called a bear hug or a tighten and release. So for the little kids, babies, toddlers, asking them if it would be okay if you give them a bear hug. And basically what you're doing is just giving them a really tight squeeze. For my little 10-month-old, I'll just kind of give like a deep massage to his chunky little legs and his arms and kind of rub his chest. Basically, it helps to relax our nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps us just kind of like take a deep exhale and release any kind of stress or negativity that's kind of built up there. Older children that can understand the game of tighten and release, basically what they do, and you can do it with them, is they tighten and then release all the parts of their body, starting at their feet, right? Going all the way up to their face. So for example, you'd say, okay, we're going to tighten our feet and squeeze them as tight as we can for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to let them relax, right? And then we go up to our ankles, and then we go up to our calves and to our knees. And then you can I usually try to finish by like squeezing my forehead and like the top of the crown and relax. And that's really, really fun and helpful for some of the older kiddos to let out some of the stress that they don't know is stored in their bodies. And then the last tool for littles that my 2-year-old can play, any younger than that is going to be a little bit tricky, is the game I Spy, or ABCs Around the Room. I don't know if anyone's ever played that. But basically, I linked to how to play it in the PDF, but I Spy is like, I spy with my little eye something blue. And you literally look around the room for something of a color. And then they have to try to guess what it is. Or ABCs around the room is where kids, you know, find something. I see something that starts with the letter A. I see something that starts with the letter B. And basically what it is, it's just helping them to ground into the moment, right? Helping them to stop the chattering of the mind or the nervous thoughts or feelings, come back to the present moment and find something that they can kind of anchor in. And it's a fun game. So they're playing with their family who they love, which is a lot of fun. And it's also something that grownups can do as well, if you want to kind of, you know, ground in with your 5 senses. So those are the ones that I had for the kiddos. Does anyone have any questions about any of those? I want to make sure I'm keeping my time.
You're doing great.
Thank you. These are awesome.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, they're fun. And the ones for mamas, like if you wanted to do it, taking a walk outside, doing it outside is really fun, especially just because fresh air and nature is so healing right now. But sometimes when I'm all like bajiggity, I'll say, okay, what are 5 things that I can see right now? And I name them. What are 4 things that I can hear? What are 3 things that I can touch? What are 2 things that I can, what am I missing? Taste. That's weird. The tasting one is hard. You're tasting the air.
Morning coffee.
Bring a drink. So it's easier. Yeah. Don't lick plants or leaves or anything like that. But yeah, just kind of grounding in is really helpful. And then for the mamas, for the women, for the mamas, my specialty, my favorite. First tool, morning pages. Morning pages. And there's a link coming for you. What morning pages are is every single morning you grab a piece of paper or a journal and you write or you doodle for either 10 minutes or 3 consecutive pages. They are magic. They are only for you. No one sees them. No one ever has to know about them. They don't have to make sense. It's not a diary. It's not a journal. There's nothing productive about them. So often as women, we feel like we have to be productive. We have to be creating. It has to be perfect. None of that. None of it. Morning pages are a place where it's just like stream of consciousness writing. And I actually have been doing them in the morning and at night because I find that there's a collection of like racing automatic subconscious thoughts running. And when I do my morning pages and my bedtime pages, just that stream of consciousness, it's like the Harry Potter wand, pulling it out where it's causing havoc and causing me fear and anxiety and getting out of my body and putting it onto paper. And it just helps to ground you in and take all that stuff. You know, I don't know if anyone ever has trouble falling asleep because their mind, if that's you, try this. Try the pages before you go to bed and in the morning. And you're just like, have such a clearer mind and just such more clarity and you feel more at peace. It's incredible. Big lover of morning pages. Okay. Number 2, second tip for mamas and women is to connect with the heart of humanity. What I mean by that, okay? Right now, a lot of us, whether we realize it or not, are plugged into fear of humanity, right? You can feel it in your body when you are listening to the news, when you're scrolling social, when people are talking about, you know, what COVID and everything that's going on, you're seeing these stories, you're at the grocery store, just every moment without us even realizing we're plugging into the fear of humanity. We feel tight and anxious and restricted and cold. That's what it feels like in our body. Instead, we can choose to plug into the heart of humanity, right? Which is where we all can be plugging into so that we are part of this collective shift that's going on right now that I think is leading us into a much more beautiful, better place. It's coming. And so connecting in with the heart of humanity looks like a lot of different things, right? For me, 2 days ago, I found out my girlfriend from high school had a baby. And she sent a picture and I just literally started hysterically crying and was overwhelmed with this feeling of love and of beauty and just like this new life being created right now. Sometimes it's looking at pictures of animals or reading stories about animals or sitting with your pets, right? They just have that unconditional love that could crack us open. Maybe it's listening to the people singing in Italy from their window, right? From their window steps or their kind of decks. Maybe it's tuning into children sharing their talents virtually, that a lot of that's going on right now. Maybe it's just dancing with your children to like a lullaby and holding them no matter how old they are, or your husband, right? Or looking at wedding photos or pictures of your family, or Christmas music, or just any kind of, really profound song cracks you open and just connects you in, like I said, with the heart of humanity. Like what is so true and important right now is that we're all living from that space of our hearts and love instead of fear. Any questions on that? I'm happy to answer them. And lastly, for women and mamas is just, guys, make sure, I know the days are blurring together and I know it's so hard, especially if you have people that are depending on you and that you're taking care of and all these different responsibilities in your work, but carving out alone time. I don't care if it's 30 minutes. You need it. You need it. You need it. Quiet time, an energetic cocoon where there's no phone, there's no news, there's no distractions, there's no requests, there's no noise. Just you and yourself, your beautiful, like true essence and spark, spiritual divine spark of who you are. We need to recharge. We need to plug in order to connect with what's real and not get caught up on all the stuff that's going on. You deserve it. You're worthy of it. You have to choose to create it. And you have to choose to also ask your people that are in your life to support you and to help you protect it. And that's it.
Yes.
Like, I was like a bobblehead.
Take the alone time, or I'll come and find you.
Yeah.
Or else.
And we have in our schedule, like during the week at least, for our kids, like there's quiet time for them, but it's also to have quiet time for us too. Like it's so important. And at young, being able to sit in the stillness, in the quiet, to reflect, to rejuvenate, like that's crucial, because I didn't have that when I was little. Like that wasn't instilled in me. Nothing, no knock against my parents, they're wonderful, but like we didn't know this,
right.
back then, so I just think that that's huge.
And even if your kids come and interrupt you or your whatever, like Anna, I love how I've been taking a cue from you and just making I set my meditation time. I put on my music and I have my crystals and I do my thing, whatever. And if my kids come in, I used to be like, and like scream at them. And now I'm like, no, like let them come in, like let them see what I'm doing. Let them feel this energy. Let them be a part of it. Let them feel like it's deliciousness. And I just feel like every time they come in, like they soften and slow down a little bit more and more. And yeah, I'm just kind of like chilling balls,
Yeah. Love that.
I like that you do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We are now going to hear from Renee, who will be talking about presence and how to bring ourselves back when it's very common, obviously, right now to be elsewhere, especially stuck in that fear and that future-based thinking about what if, right? So Renee's going to take us through all of that.
Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be here with all of you. And I just have to say that, both what Taryn and Bree have shared just resonates so deeply for me. And that's why, part of the reason that we wanted to do this was to share our experiences, because what's personal is universal, right? And so what Taryn's experiencing, we're all experiencing a little bit of that. And the same with all of us, we're all connected. And so it's just so beautiful to kind of gather in this way and to hear about others' experiences and to know, especially now as we're fucking isolated in our homes, that we are not alone. Like we're separate, but together. So thank you everyone for being here. It's such an honor. So I'm Renee. If you don't know me, I am the owner, CEO of My Soulful Sobriety, and I help women to get present in their lives and to live their best lives sober. I consider myself like a spiritual-ish teacher. I'm also a yoga instructor. I practice Reiki. I have my master's degree in education, and in my former life, I was an educator. And so I kind of bring a wide range of experiences and knowledge and all the things to this. So thanks again for having me. You know, it's a funny thing, right? What's been going on, and there are definitely like these ebbs and flows. And I think the more we recognize them and look at them and say like, it's okay, you know, like we need to show ourselves more compassion for the variety of things that we're feeling. All of us on this call, I mean, this is literally the work we do in the world, is we help people through challenging times. And we too are feeling the ebbs and flows. And I think for me, you know, one of the lowest points I've hit so far is, well, let me back up a little bit. So often when we're in a chaotic time, what do we want to do? We want to get the fuck out of here. We want to run away, okay? And I did this for most of my life with alcohol. Like, I don't want to feel it, so I'm going to drink. I don't want to deal with that, I'm going to drink. This is hard, let me drink. This is amazing, let me drink. And just really not even allowing the feelings to come up. And we do this in so many other ways too, right? It doesn't have to be booze. It's scrolling, it's food, it's gambling, it's toxic relationships, it's coffee, it's whatever you're doing to get out of feeling. And so, you know, while I know this and I'm aware of this, I've been alcohol free for almost 2 years, I still reach for other things. And I think one of the low points for me was sometimes last week, like coming to and realizing that I had eaten like an entire bag of potato rolls lathered with butter. Like I came to, you guys, and it like nothing brought it. It was like waking up after a blackout and being like, what the fuck happened, right? Like, so the bag of potato rolls is empty. There's butter all over my fingers. There's butter on my phone because I had been scroll eating. Like, let me just numb out everything that I'm feeling by like scrolling Instagram and shoving buttered gluten in my mouth. Like, it was just, and I just came to and I was like, I'm doing it. Like, this is I don't want to feel this. I want to get out of this. I want to escape this. And I think, you know, if you've spent any time on social media, you can see it, right? I mean, the wine memes are like, there's never been a better time for a wine meme. And, you know, we do it with food and the quarantine 15. And, you know, there's no judgment here. None of us are good or bad. We're whole. And there's light and there's shadow. And just to remember to forgive yourself in those moments of like, eating a bag of potato rolls slathered with butter, or like a whole bag of Cadbury eggs, or just noticing and showing yourself some compassion. And so before I get into my topic of presence and the tools that I'm going to share, I just want to remind us that while it can feel like a lot right now, and it can feel like I cannot do this, I cannot do it, right? And I think at some point or another throughout the past few weeks, maybe we've said this to ourselves, but I want us to remember that we know how to do this because it's in our DNA. And while our ancestors maybe didn't face a pandemic, although some of them did, it's in our DNA to be with our family all the time. And it's in our DNA to be in close quarters, sometimes with multiple generations of our family. And while so much of our society and our lives right now don't allow us to remember, I think one of the gifts that this pandemic is bringing is this remembering of letting, you know, this part of us shine, right? So presence, it's so easy to tap out, right? We all want to tap out because we feel anxious and we're overwhelmed. But the only way out of this is through it, right? We can't fast forward as much as we'd like to, as much as we try to numb out and get out of the present moment. The truth is all we have is right now. And what happens when you tap into the right now is that you stop future tripping, right? When is it going to be over? When can my kids go back to school? When can I get back to the gym? You know, all of that, you release all of this future tripping and you're just here. You're just here. And so there are many ways that you can get present in your life. In yoga, we talk about the breath. And the reason that we talk about the breath in yoga so much is because the breath anchors us to the present moment. Can't breathe in the past, can't breathe in the future, you can only breathe now. So one of the easiest ways, the most common ways to get present is just to focus on your breath. Watch it go in, watch it go out. Maybe think of your belly like a beach ball expanding. So you're inhaling and filling the beach ball, you're exhaling and you're retracting. So just watching your breath. As Bree mentioned, taking in the world through your 5 senses. It's great for the kids. It's great for us too, because again, if you're focusing on your 5 senses, you know, what do I see? What do I hear? You can't do that yesterday. You can't do it tomorrow either. So it just anchors you to the right now. Watching your thoughts. So we are not our thoughts. And when I first learned this, I was like, yes, I am. First of all, but we are not our thoughts. We're the observer of our thoughts. So something that can be really helpful and has helped me immensely during this time, especially as a range of emotions come forth, is to I imagine myself as like my highest self, like almost like on a cloud in my mind above the chaos. And so I'm like sitting there like some kind of goddess or something, and like I'm just watching the chaos below, knowing that I am not that. I'm watching that. I see that, not trying to get out of that. I see it, it's here, but I'm just observing it. That's who I am. I'm the observer of the thoughts. And again, we share all of these in the PDF, so don't feel like you have to be writing them down. Staring at nature is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. You know, of course, getting outside, putting your feet on the earth, all of those things are amazing. But if you're a mom like I am, like, sorry, I can't just like go out in nature right now because I have 2 young kids and it's raining. You know, even just staring outside can drop you into the present moment. So my last tool that I want to share is a mudra. And a mudra is a hand movement, so you'll need your fingers. And what a mudra does is it's basically a mantra. A mantra is anything that we tell ourselves, but you have this tactile connection to your body, which allows for a deeper connection to what you're saying. So you tap each of your fingers on your thumb as you say these 4 words. I am here now. I am here now. And so you can use any word that you want. You know, you can do it for a minute. All of the tools that we're sharing are meant to be things that you can access right away. Right? Because we're all dealing with a lot of different things. And if you're a mother and you're working at home and the whole thing, like we want you to be able to access these things at any time of the day. Like, yes, a morning meditation first thing is beautiful. It's beautiful at night too. But the real work and the real gift of presence comes in the everyday moments. And so this is just something that you can do quick and easy. I am here now. You can also use this too shall pass. I can do this. You know, you can choose, and it can change, you know, from day to day, moment to moment. What do you need? And repeating this over and over and over to yourself until your brain starts to believe it, which is what mantras do. They rewire our brain. So that's what I've got. Thank you so much. I talked a lot. Sorry, as usual.
That's great.
It was fantastic. So helpful. And I love it. So thank you. We are now going to hear from Anna, who is going to share about the nervous system and take us through a guided visualization experience, which I'm super duper excited about.
Yes.
Okay, well, hi, I am Anna Petrus. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I'm also an intuitive energy healer and holistic health coach. My background is in integrative medicine and adult primary care. And about 6 years ago, I completed a master's certification course in medical intuition, energy medicine, and spiritual coaching. So the work that I do now, I'm no longer in physical medicine, but I work with clients that are looking to go a little bit deeper into their healing and wellness beyond just the physical. So, that can range from people that are working on a particular health issue or illness, all the way to those kind of trying to answer the deeper questions in life of like, who am I and why am I here? So that's what I do. And, I was going to talk to you guys today about the nervous system. And I'm still going to do that, but I'm also sensing that we got a lot of information. And so I'm not going to talk a lot from my logical, explanation brain, because I want to make a lot of time or enough time for us to really drop into the experiential exercise that I'm going to walk you through, because it's really important. But I'm going to like abbreviate what I was going to talk about. So our nervous system is really complex. We have trillions of nerves throughout our entire body. And there's kind of two major areas that dominate the nervous system. We have our sympathetic nervous system, which is kind of like our fight or flight nervous system. And then we have our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And what happens when we're under stress is our sympathetic nervous system takes over. And when that happens, we shoot out a whole bunch of different hormones and chemicals that creates this physiological response within us. So it's important that we have this mechanism. It's actually a protective mechanism. So like way back in the day when we were living in villages and being chased by wild animals through the woods, we would initiate that sympathetic nervous system and be able to run and flee and get to safety. The problem is that we no longer have to escape from wild animals. We're just living in this modern world, which in and of itself is extremely stressful all the time. We have a lot of stimulation coming in. We have a lot of activities that we're doing, responsibilities, the whole thing. And so we may not even notice that our baseline is stimulation of our sympathetic nervous system. And, just to kind of like name a few hormones that are going when we're in that activation zone is cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So cortisol is released by our adrenal glands. You need cortisol, but what happens when you're in sympathetic mode is it shoots out in a big burst and you kind of get this like antsy, agitated feeling. So like for someone like me, anxiety is my baseline, and I kind of like always feel like that unless I use my tools. So like physical symptoms can be feeling agitated, feeling like literally restless in your body, like you just need to move, not being able to focus and concentrate. Sleep issues are a big thing. So just pay attention to like kind of how your body's feeling and know that this is a normal response, but there's things that we can do to kind of calm it down. The other hormone to pay attention to is epinephrine and neuroepinephrine, which is basically adrenaline. So when your cortisol kicks in, it can only kick in for such a short amount of time that eventually you'll start to kick into adrenaline mode. And with that, you feel like almost like amped up, but tired at the same time. So we start to get this like wired and tired feeling. And this is when we're in adrenaline mode, people don't act from the part of their brain that's like the rational part of their brain. So we really tap into our primal instincts. And this is when things can get a little hairy at home specifically. So like getting in arguments, being snappy, being irrational, having these like grandiose fears and things like that. It kind of takes over that logical thinking pattern. And we just kind of go into like primal animal zone. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
So again, like we need this. It's helpful for these things to trigger on when it's needed, but it also is meant to just be for short periods of time. So like right now, for example, this is a high stress time. we're stuck at home. We have new schedules. We're, you know, with our kids 24/7. We're trying to like work from home and do homeschooling. We're scared for our safety. I mean, that's a legitimate fear. And so we kind of just have to notice, like, am I in that sympathetic activation place? What am I feeling in my body? And again, like for me, because like I was saying, I run anxiety as normal, like that's kind of how I always feel. So this is why I want to run you through this exercise, because I want you to be able to experience what it feels like to not be in that. Because you might be surprised. You might actually think like, oh, I'm actually not that stressed right now. You know, I have these like stress thoughts like, oh, what's going to happen? I hope we stay safe. But like, I don't feel stress or anxiety. You think that until you actually feel what it feels like to be in a state of calm or in parasympathetic activation. And parasympathetic nervous system is where we rest and digest. And this is where we're kind of supposed to be most of the time. So the exercise that we're going to do, that I'm going to walk you through today, is to help calm the sympathetic nervous system down. I'm going to do like a little energy infusion and progressive relaxation. So we're going to bring attention to different areas of our body, infuse it. Ooh, and then at the end, I want you to observe how you feel, if it's different or the same than at the beginning. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I just wanted to say too, I also have been eating a shit ton of sugar. So that is my like not so healthy coping mechanism to deal with that overactivation of my sympathetic nervous system. So we seek these things to soothe us. And again, it's a protective mechanism. Our body is trying to protect ourselves from what's going on. It's just we start to fall into old habits, like reaching for alcohol, reaching for sugar, reaching for those like quick instant gratification things. It's totally normal. I literally sat under the covers and ate like a whole bag of those Cadbury mini eggs. Not the little bag, like the whole bag. And then I felt disgusting afterwards. But you know, those are the times where we can pull out some of these tools that we just all talked about today. And then also, I think we're going to record this as a replay. Like you can come back and listen to this guided relaxation that we're going to go through, because it can be a really helpful tool instead of binge eating an entire bag of Cadbury minis. All right. So what I want you to do is take a minute, kind of like we did in the beginning, to get really comfortable. You can lie down, you can sit. You really just want your body to be as comfortable and relaxed as possible. We're going to start with some deep breaths. Dropping into your body. I want you to bring your attention to the top of your head. Before I go any further, if you can't hear me, anyone, just let me know, because I'm going to probably talk softer as I go. All right, so bring your attention to the top of your head. I want you to imagine a giant ball of beautiful, golden, pearlescent light. It's a soft yet vibrant gold frequency with the shimmer of a pearl. Pearlescent gold. Imagine that this giant ball of pearlescent gold energy is bigger than your head. It extends wider than your body. It's like a giant sun above the top of your head. Bring your attention into your scalp. And as you bring your awareness there, slowly let this golden pearlescent light filter through your scalp and relax. And as you inhale and exhale, intending for this luminous pearlescent gold energy to slowly fill up your head, the contents of your skull, seeping into your brain and telling your brain to relax. And allowing that energy to float across your eyebrows, your ears, your mouth, and telling those parts of you to relax. And then floating down your throat, let the current of that energy not only float on the outside of your skin, but filling up the entire space of your throat and head. And relax. And letting that energy float across your shoulders, down your arms, bringing your awareness into your hands, into your fingertips, filling up with that beautiful golden pearlescent energy and allowing it to help you relax. And then seeing that energy filling up your chest, allow it to seep into your lungs, and with that infusion of energy, bring your awareness to your lungs as well. We tell them to relax. And into your heart, relax. Moving through your ribs, into your stomach, relax. Into your intestines, relax. Allowing your whole belly center to infuse with this beautiful golden pearlescent light. Then relax. Filling up your liver, your spleen, gallbladder, adrenal glands. Don't worry if you don't know where those are. Just intend for the energy to flow there. Energy follows thought and intention. And allowing your awareness and the energy to fill up your pelvis. Your uterus and ovaries, if you have them. Really taking a deep breath all the way down into your belly and relax. And allowing that energy and awareness to flow down the tops of your thighs, backs of your legs. Filling up your whole leg space with that golden pearlescent light. And relax. Floating down your calves, your ankles, tops of your feet, bottoms of your feet. All 10 toes. Relax. Shift your awareness back up to the back of your neck, where your spine originates. I want you to imagine that all the bones in your spinal cord are infused with this vibrant, warm, glowing gold pearlescence. And just like you would like a French press coffee maker, if you know what that looks like, or dipping a tea bag into hot water, just let that energy infuse all the way down from the top of your spine through your torso, letting it naturally find all of those trillions of nerves that branch out from your spinal cord. Filling your nerves with that golden pearlescent energy. And again, don't worry about if you don't know anatomy, just intend and let it flow. Letting it drop down to your low back until it eventually reaches your tailbone. And then taking a moment to feel your whole body full of this calming, vibrant, golden pearlescent light. And feeling the sense of calm and relax. And I want you to visualize a symbol. It can be anything. That's going to be a reminder of this feeling of calm and peace that you're experiencing right now. pick a symbol. It can be an animal. It can be a random object. It doesn't matter. The first thing that comes to your mind. And take that symbol, and at the top of your head, you're going to place that symbol and vibrate it through your energy system like a tuning fork. And knowing that when this relaxation exercise is over, that anytime you want to come back to this state, all you need to do is visualize that symbol and let it vibrate through your energy field like we just did. And take one final moment. Take a deep breath. And just observe from a no-think space how you feel in your body now. And enjoy. And when you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And bringing your awareness back into the room that you're sitting or lying in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How do you feel?
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
Good. So
My eyes won't even come back.
I know. So that energy, that golden pearlescence, there are a lot of different names for this in the modality that I'm certified in, which is intuition medicine. We call it supreme being energy. It's kind of like consciousness energy. We all are able to tap into this, and it resonates at the frequency of pearlescent gold. So if you want to tap back into that energy, which again helps calm us, clear us, ground us, enliven us, if you want to tap into that, all you have to do is visualize and connect with that color frequency of pearlescent gold. So you don't need to be like an energy healer or anything to tap into this. Obviously, it's like a lot easier to do that if you know how to do that. But you can tap into that anytime and just do like that push through your body to help clear, neutralize, and relax the nerves. Yeah, and then, how do you feel? Do you notice a difference in the way that you feel now versus how maybe you feel before or normally?
Oh my gosh. For me, yes. Like, I think my favorite part was I literally imagined the coffee press like pushing down, and I could feel it. And I did take a pre-workout, so I was already tingly, but I definitely felt like those waves. And I know when I'm in and like dropped into a meditation, when I start to see colors, like in a kaleidoscope kind of experience, that was like, I feel like for me, if I took more time in my days and my weeks to just 10 minutes, do that, like.
Yeah. So it's really good to do that before bed. So if you have trouble sleeping or you're feeling anxious, a lot of times when we lay down and we're still is when all of our anxiety sparks up and our, that sympathetic nervous system is like, ooh. That's a great time to do this exercise to really come back in, and you'll sleep a lot better. So enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. that pretty much takes us here to the end. I want to, first of all, say thank you to the panelists here. I had this random thought, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago, and ran it by them, and they all emphatically said, yes, I'm in. I want to just say thank you for, you know, seeing this vision through for me. It's been incredible and super special. I'm going to drop in the chat our link to our resources so that you have that. You can copy it and save it in your notes. It's very simple. It's a tiny URL, so it's easy. It's a tinyurl.com/Bratt resources. Bratt. You are giggling about this because it's literally just the initials to all of our names, and that was the name. And we're rolling with it for now. So that is where you can find our resources. There's also links to where you can find us on Instagram. That's where most of us are hanging out these days. So please, please, please message us. Let us know how this was for you. Let us know if you use any of the additional tools over the coming weeks. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day today, and that you're able to you know, continue this feeling of calm throughout at least the rest of your day today. So thank you all so much, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.